We start in the United States today, where the U.S. Justice Department has asked a Manhattan federal court to unseal grand jury transcripts related to the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, citing public interest in the cases involving Epstein and his former associate Ghislaine Maxwell. This comes as U.S. President Donald Trump filed a lawsuit in Miami federal court against the Wall Street Journal, its parent companies, and several of its executives and reporters. U.S. President Donald Trump sued the Wall Street Journal and its owners, including Rupert Murdoch, for at least $10 billion over a recent report by the newspaper. The article reportedly said that his name was on a 2003 birthday greeting for Jeffrey Epstein that included a sexually suggestive drawing and a reference to quote and unquote secrets they shared. The lawsuit filed in Miami federal court names Murdoch, Dow Jones, News Corp, and its chief executive Robert Thompson, and also two Wall Street Journal reporters as defendants, saying they defamed Trump and caused him to suffer overwhelming financial and reputational harm. A spokesperson for Dow Jones has said in a statement that the organization stands by the accuracy of its reporting and also intends to vigorously defend against the suit. We're now joined by Irina Sukerman, who is a senior journalist. She joins us live from New York to discuss this story in more detail. Irina, thank you very much for joining us. Donald Trump can't seem to shake his Epstein problem. How do you think, and how do you analyze his handling of this situation?
He is repeating the same mistake he's made. He and his officials have made in the past. A scandal that could have been prevented is actually being exacerbated by his handling of it. Instead of creating a special committee or assigning a special prosecutor to investigate the matter and keep his election promises, he is trying to obscure the story, probably to prevent embarrassment or to prevent his base from figuring out that he may have exaggerated some claims, or that this situation with Epstein is not as simple as he made it out to be. Regardless of that, this is actually fanning the flames of the movement that he himself helped start on the basis of this story. There's no question about it that there's a lot of questions about Epstein, about his sex trafficking ring, his methods, and certainly the financial transactions behind all of it. There's also no question that Epstein was surrounded by many powerful people. And now Trump, by trying to dismiss the story and to silence the critics of his approach, is making it seem like he's got something to hide, or the government is being dishonest and is trying to hide the story, and that's only making the matters worse. That's the worst way to handle a PR crisis.
Yes, Irina, and what do you think of how this has divided party politics, not just between Democrats and Republicans, but also between the Republican Party as well? We've seen in-party disagreements between staunch MAGA allies previously of Trump. Now they seem to be turning on him. What is it about this issue that has caught the attention, made people who were such good allies of Trump, such loyalists to Donald Trump, turn against him now?
It's all about transparency and trust. They believed that Trump would deliver justice, that he would deliver accountability, and that he would be something different from what they were used to. Of course, they ignored the fact that Trump was part of the problem. It's no secret that Trump was an associate of Epstein, as were many other people, both on the right and the left, who were close associates of Trump and who've become admired by the MAGA movements. The MAGA movement at this point crosses party lines. It's become somewhat of a political breaker of boundaries. This story sort of helped this movement start. It was this idea of breaking down the silence of the political elites, breaking down the barriers that prevented regular people from seeking justice against powerful, corrupt individuals who abused their power, who engaged in sex trafficking associated with minors, and so on and so forth. So the optics were always there. Promised that Trump blamed it on his political opponents for allegedly silencing the story, but of course, when he got to power, he did a complete 180, as he has done with other promises. This one has the higher stakes because it comes down to issues of basic decency and also issues of a story that he helped stoke for many years. The story that put the blame for this sort of abuse of power, for this sort of hidden cabals of powerful individuals on the traditional political elites. He was, of course, always part of them, but he presented himself as an outsider. Now he's acting just like anyone else before him. He's acting like a typical Washington insider.
Irina, Donald Trump's relationship with the media is an interesting one. We've obviously, this isn't the first scandal that we've seen in regards to a damaging piece about his administration. This much more directly linked to Donald Trump as an individual. However, we've seen Donald Trump challenge press outlets legally before. Do you think this case could help him, or do you think in the long run here the damage has been done?
I think that his biggest issue is not the media at this point. His biggest issue is that he and his closest associates have lost the trust of many of the people who really believed and followed him all these years. And I think trying to intimidate his critics, be they the media or members of the MAGA movement, is not going to help him in the long run. As you mentioned, it's going to split the movement, make it easier for other factions to challenge him and his authority. In the past, media has gone along with his intimidation tactics. CBS, for instance, gave him a huge settlement. I'm not sure that's going to work anymore. In the particular case, he's asking for a completely absurd $10 billion price for alleged libel, when the stories that came out have actually not made any allegations against him. They only presented embarrassing and actually non-criminal facts. The biggest damage to Donald Trump's reputation in this instance was his own handling of the situation, and not the media doing what media is supposed to do, criticize and provide information about untruthful stories told by powerful politicians, no matter their political background.
Yes.
Up until now, Trump was Teflon Trump. Maybe that's gone.
Irina Sukerman, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure having you on the program. For our next story, we move over to the Middle East, where Syria and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire